So, Master, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Knut Peacock.
Can you tell us a little something about the Great Grand Master?
Yeah, I started training, I think, in 1972. Carlton was already training with them, with Leslie and Gary, and then he told me to, it took me about 6 or 8 months before I finally started. And the Grandmaster was there, and I think he was already in his 70s, and probably in better shape than I was when I was 21. So it was, I was very impressed. He didn't participate as much in the beginning. It was mostly Eddie and his instructors, but he was always there.
Can you tell us your relationship with Bakitan?
Well, Eddie was the one we were all, he was the, I guess, I wouldn't say we were afraid of him, but we were very respectful of him because he was very demanding on what he wanted. And yeah, in the later years, you know, he just became really inspirational because he got more, you know, of the less of the physical and more of the mental, stronger mental attitude about the perspective of, you know, our martial arts, which is self-defense, not you know, attacking somebody, fighting just to fight, so to speak. You know, it's self-defense.
Well, can you tell us how your insight is on what Derobio is?
Derobio is, it's an outside, what I would describe it as, is it's moving into the target from the outside. It's a passive art. It's not against the blow. It's usually with the blow and flowing into the blow. And then the counter blow after the defense is the most important thing. So not the first block, but what comes after that. And then you're always moving in. You're never back, you know, you try not to back up. You're always moving into the target. That's pretty simple, simple description of what it is. Always moving in.
And how was your translation between the different footworks that were shown to you in the old days?
Well, we had different, Eddie had kind of a different footwork, but later on we were corrected, so to speak, as to the proper footwork that the Grandmaster used.
And how would you explain how the counters work with Derobio?
Well, remember, you got to remember the Master, if he weighed 100 pounds, he was either just under or just over that. He was small, and everything in Derobio and what he taught us is leverage. You're never going against the strength of the person. You're always going with the blow, and you're always using leverage as opposed to muscle power. So he could, you know, take anybody out, whatever size, you know, 250, 300 pound muscle man, whatever, any size, because he wouldn't use the, you know, he wouldn't fight the strength. He would just flow with the blow. And very effective. The counters are, you know, if you get grabbed, then it's just a way of getting out of the grabs, and kind of endless because there's always a counter for a counter. So it's just a way of escaping.
And then what kind of locks were you put in when you were training with him?
Oh gosh, we didn't do, you know, I think for the first 3 or 4 years, all we did is 1 to 12. We did basics, over and over and over. We'd do, you know, 12 sets of 12, you know, 1 and 1, which is 12 strikes to 12 blocks, and then 2 and 2, 3 and 3, all the way up to 12. And we did that for a long, long time. And then we went into knives. But everything is rooted in the basics, so we always, even to this day when we start class, it's always starting with the 1 to 12 basics. Because without, as the Master used to say, without the trunk of the tree and the roots, you don't have any branches, you know, all the advanced stuff, you know, the outside of the branches and things. Has to have that foundation before you can do anything. So we always started with the basics and then just kept going from there. And the counters we didn't start learning until probably 15 years into the school. Master didn't want to show us, you know, he would show us what we needed to know, and then when we finally got into the counters, we just realized how complex it was and how many there were. And he seemed to have everyone memorized in order, which we couldn't believe. Pretty amazing.
Has Master ever healed you or did anything for you and such?
Yeah, one time I used to do a lot of surfing, big waves and stuff. Excuse me, and I body surfing at Pipeline, and I got bounced on the bottom when it was a really big day. And I didn't think anything of it, but a week later my neck was all stiff. And I was like, I didn't have a bruise or anything, but I hit right on the back, the small of my back kind of when I got bounced on the reef. And my neck got all sore. My back was fine, but my neck was really sore. So I went in and he did his prayer, and then he said, he started rubbing down my lower back, and I said, you know, Master, it's my neck, not my back. And he goes, yeah, but you must have hit your back, because I can tell that's where your pain is coming from. It's coming from down here. And he never worked on my neck at all, but that cured it, just that one thing from working down there. He just knew right where it was and solved the problem. And at countless times, I don't know, he's like a father to me. You know, if you had problems and stuff, you could always go to him. He would always help you out with anything, really. He's really quite a person.
And how long were you a member of Mercado Church?
Oh gosh, he was the member, and then he told us we had to, you know, he told us we had to come to the church to learn the Mercado, you know, the church. And we didn't understand it because we didn't speak the language or anything, but we came with him, and we would sit for the 2 hours or whatever it was on Sundays, and not all the time, but enough. And he just said that was the one, you know, that was his master, not like a god, but his master, you know, just like our martial arts master, it's the Grand Master. He's not a god, but he's his master. He's the one that he believed his teachings. So that's why he followed Master Mercado.
Very good. Can you give us some traditions of class?
Well, yeah, we always open with a prayer. First of all, everybody lines up, and then we salute the masters, the instructors, etc. And then we open with a prayer, which is probably a 10 to 20 second prayer. And you just, you know, your own God, whoever you believe in, whatever. But it's really asking for protection, is what I ask for, is protection. And I'm also thankful that nobody gets hurt and that I came out all right. And then we go into the basic training, the basic offense, defense, 1 stick, 2 sticks, etc., and the different exercises that go along with that. And then we break up into classes. The younger girl instructors, Peter's daughters, take the younger kids, and then we take the older ones and the more advanced ones, and we kind of divide it up according to how advanced they are. So there might be 5 different groups going on at one time, just depending on who's there.
Do you feel that each one of you kind of picked up a certain concept of Derobio?
Each one of us has a completely different style, really. I've had a lot of leg operations, so I can't move around with my legs very well. So I have to do a lot of upper body. Most of my stuff's going to come from up above. I don't have the option of running or backing up, you know, so much. So I kind of have to go in no matter what. Everybody has, you know, Carlton is, my preference is knives, bolos. I've always liked the bolos. That's my highlight. Carlton pretty much is the counters. He knows the counters. Peter's like a big man style, so he's different from me. And then Gary's a left-handed, but he's a wealth of knowledge too. He knows a lot, but he's very laid back about everything. And then Leslie just has a million different styles, you know, that he can show you. So everybody has their own way of moving. The Derobio and Eskrima and all of it, it's not a set movement at all. It's, you got to move the way you feel comfortable. You know, it's not, you have to do it exactly a certain way. You're going to adjust to your body and your size, and then of course your opponent too, whatever that is.
Absolutely, very good. Is there anything you'd like to add that you feel is important to the school and students and maybe other instructors?
Well, you know, my thing always has been teaching is the most important thing. To me, rank doesn't, I mean, I shouldn't say it doesn't mean anything, but it's not, I've always felt that whatever rank I had, I wasn't really ready for it. You know, it's like, why am I this rank? I don't feel like I'm at that level already. But it's really the art to me is to be able to pass the knowledge on. You know, if you look at the masters of our school, we're all getting up there in years, and you know, we're going to start dying and getting, you know, crippled and whatever, because we're older and we need to pass the knowledge on. So my whole key is to pass the knowledge on to like Chief Nye and upcoming instructors and students. So we're always happy with young people because that's what that's where we want to pass the knowledge on to. And then once they become instructors, it's all about how do they teach the other students. You know, we're not in charge when they're instructors. They got to run the class. So all that has to be passed down, and they have to do it properly, you know, so that it gets passed down when we're not around. And you know, that's the thing, just to pass it on, keep everybody taught.